All right, Tom Davidson here with Yard Work. I got Landon Hutchison and the head coach of the University of Indianapolis, Al Reddy. Thanks for coming on. Al is super special to me. He's been around since, I don't know, 2007. He's probably the sole reason why we get to use the University of Indianapolis because he bugged the former head coach for a long time before we were even able to get on there. Thanks for coming on and letting us steal some time.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys.
So we're kind of chatting with a lot of our travel ball coaches, but wanted to get a little different perspective from you guys. I know the travel scene. We're all kind of looking to see when we're able to get started, if we're going to be able to play in May because of the COVID-19 thing, or if we're looking more June and how that's going to affect us. But for you guys, I mean, it's already here and it's coming and going, and it's resulted in a season that was cut short that was off to a pretty good start here really fast.
Yeah, it's I never in a million years would have thought it would have come to this, but obviously it's in the best interest of the country and the general health of everybody in the world, really, with this pandemic. And it's I'm really sad for our seniors and for all of college baseball, but at the same time, we support the decision to cancel the season and social distancing and it's what we have to do to move forward.
Yeah, for those seniors, how is this going to play into a lot of those guys' decisions if they're able to come back and I'm assuming all those guys would love to come back and play. You feel like you just got a season stolen away from you, probably something that could have been special, in the works already. And those are the guys that I think the seniors in high school and seniors in college, I don't think it's just the high school side that is really hurting from that.
Yeah, it really does. It has a trickle down effect. And with the seniors that we had 13 seniors. We're in the process right now of trying to work through who will return and who, most of them are going to graduate. So if the ones that do return will return as graduate students. And of course, the high school seniors, like you mentioned, it's so unfortunate if their season ends up being canceled as well. Really, it's we're looking towards summer baseball is what we're looking towards. I mean, that's going to be the best opportunity for a lot of those guys to get seen at this point. So if the high school senior season gets canceled, that's what we had to look forward to is summer baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a quick question for you here, Al. Like, I know your background and everything as far as baseball goes, but could you tell us, kind of how, your baseball, world started and where you came from and whatnot?
Yeah, sure. Well, originally I'm from Canada. I didn't have high school baseball growing up. Loved baseball. I played baseball in the summer, just like everybody else did. And, the number of games that we were able to play wasn't very many. So I was pretty raw, so to speak, coming out of high school. But I was very fortunate enough to be able to join a program out on the West Coast in the Vancouver, British Columbia area called the National Baseball Institute of Canada. And that's where I got my start in college baseball. And I was there for two seasons. And then I transferred to a junior college in Illinois and Sauk Valley Community College. And then I came over to the University of Indianapolis to finish up my college playing career. And then when I spent a couple seasons in the Frontier League, and when that was over and done, Coach Vaught, the long-term legendary coach here at the University of Indianapolis, gave me the opportunity to come back and be a graduate assistant. And I never thought I would, want to become a college coach. And I've been doing it now for nearly 20 years. It's been a great ride. That's kind of my background in a nutshell, but it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think when was you worked with Pastime over the summers? I mean, quite a few years ago now, but probably 2000. What do you think? 7 or 8?
Yeah, it's been a while. I was around at the beginning, and yeah, it's been a while. I remember being a tournament director, starting out and flying all over the country, and it was a blast. It really was. It was a great opportunity to meet people and also recruit too as well. Because as a college coach, you're at most of those events anyways, so watching the game. So but yeah, it was. I remember back when you first got going. It's really come a long way. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I think that gets us to a different spot where we always talk about your baseball family and how that kind of grows with this. There, very few baseball families or sports families that are as connected as baseball. Like I know for me, and for you as well, with, Coach Vaught and how the number of people he really connected us with, and he was able to open the doors for pastime tournaments and get in there, and he's always active with asking about family and things like that. I think the baseball community is more of a family per se than a community, and it may be similar in other sports, but I think it's almost unmatched from the baseball side, and I think a lot of people will start to see that as this thing kind of unfolds, and maybe we get back to being able to play at some point this summer for sure.
Yeah, it really is. It's a small world, the baseball community is, and there's a lot of people over the years that I can, I can remember that have had a tremendous impact on my life and my career. And most coaches would say the same thing. It's a small world, and working those events over the years and going to those events, you see people all the time that are out there doing the same thing you're doing. Pounding the pavement, looking for good players and talented players and guys that are going to do a good job for your program. And when you build those relationships, it really does. Family's a great way to describe it, Tom. It really is.
So as you guys are kind of transitioning in that with this possible fifth year for these seniors at the college level and how that's going to affect these seniors coming out of high school, what gear does that change from a recruiting standpoint? Are you now looking at, okay, I've got to figure out who's staying so I know what we might need, and then how that's going to play with, rosters and if these young guys, if it's as important for them to come into an NCAA Division II or Division I school right away, or is it maybe another valuable piece could be for those guys to go that JUCO route and really save that opportunity for those guys too.
Yeah, it's again, we're working through the process right now. It's you have to identify who is going to come back, and roster management is a big part of this thing, and we don't have a JV program here at UIndy, and we have a rather large roster to begin with. So it is a process to figure those things out, and I do see a big benefit for the junior college world too as well. It's going to make that the NJCAA a lot better. Again, baseball is a sport where your senior year in high school you could blow up, and I'm not saying it's not that way for other sports like football and basketball, but usually your senior year of high school, if you're a football or basketball player, everybody pretty much knows who the best players are. And baseball, it's kind of the same way, but there's a lot larger percentage of players that do kind of explode their senior year and get on the radar as opposed to some of those other sports. And the junior college world is really going to benefit from that. But again, to be able to get exposure to see those guys, it's really going to depend on what happens moving forward with summer baseball and not just the tournaments, but the showcases and things like that as well. Those events have got to take place at some point for the college coaches to be able to see some of these guys that we're talking about here, that aren't on anybody's radar right now.
So what are some of those, and I'm just going to ask you, even though I know the answer, but some of those intangibles that you're looking for when you're actually recruiting, athletes? A lot of these programs that we've already talked to have, talked about like the metrics and like little things like that. But, when you're out at a field, or, you're at UND and you're watching a game, what's one thing that usually stands out that you're like, man, I really like that kid?
Yeah, I'm old school. I don't carry around a stopwatch, and we have a radar gun, of course, but it's usually operated by somebody else. So I just kind of watch, and hustle is big for me. Running balls out. I like guys that can run. I really do. I really favor guys that can run. We feel like we have a very good grasp on developing offense here at UND. So we're not necessarily, out there looking for a guy that can just, pound the baseball. Of course, I mean, that doesn't hurt, but athleticism, the ability to run, the ability to play defense. Defense is really, really big for us here at UND. Our program is built around pitching and defense, and that's you're only as good as the guy you roll out there on the mound. You really are, and those are some of the things that we look for when we're out there watching games. Is guys that can pitch and guys that can play defense, guys that are athletic, team guys, guys that aren't throwing their bat in their helmet when they strike out, or carrying themselves with bad body language or things like that. Those are the things that are most important to me.
Coach, how tied in are you to the tech pieces that have kind of come a long way with baseball, whether it's the metrics on stats and spin rates and exit velos, the Rapsodo machines, or even on the recruiting side with like an NCSA type product that's out there?
Yeah, I think those things are very important. It's not the end all. I don't let we don't let the technology make the decisions for us, but they definitely aid in the decisions. It's very, very there's a competitive advantage to having those things in your program. There really is. We use the Rapsodo for both the pitchers and the hitters. We use the Modus sleeves and the sensors for our pitching staff as well. We use the blast motion sensors for our hitters. All of those things combine to help us make better decisions. I'm not saying you have to have those things, but they definitely help. The exit velocity, spin, when you're talking about in terms of spin rate and things like that with the Rapsodo, it really helps you develop different pitches. It helps the players see what you're describing to them or what you're talking to them about. I've noticed that with the blast motion too as well. Swing path is really important to us, and I don't necessarily need a piece of technology to tell me that a guy's swinging down on the ball or whatever. But when you tell a kid that without the tech, it's a lot more difficult for him to believe you. And then when you show him on the tech, hey, look, you have a negative attack angle, and it's like, oh, okay. So again, those things help. With the development of your players, and they also help aid in your decision making. So it's very important, very important.
Yeah. I mean, I think every year we all go to the ABCA convention, and I mean, it's just one after another. And I think talking to Coach Vaught a couple times about it, when we really started our tournaments at UND, 12, 13 years ago, it was like, this stuff wasn't even thought of. Like we just didn't need it. It was more like what you're geared at right now. It's you're going out and doing the eye test. You're relying on some of your JUCO contacts or high school contacts to say, hey, this is a D2, a UND kind of guy, and you're not looking at all the data and the metrics and all that kind of stuff to really point you in the right direction on who is our type of guy. I think you guys have had that ability, to say this, we have a certain type of guy, and we don't need the metrics to really explain it to us or to pinpoint, that's what we should be looking at.
Yeah. And I will say this though, with Twitter and the ability to see video on kids, nowadays. You know, the Twitter feeds and the information regarding the metrics that can be posted on those social media platforms and, you know, be sent out via email and YouTube videos and things like that. Those are always a great starting point for recruiting a kid. Again, it's not I'm not going to give a scholarship out based off of a Twitter video, but you know, necessarily, I guess. But it's a great, it's a great way though to identify somebody that you might want to go see. But I always like to go see the player in person.
Yeah. I feel a big thing that helps with our program too would be, you know, the tech builds a lot of competitive, you know, advantages. I mean, you know that when we do velo stuff, I mean, our guys get amped up when, you know, when they see those things. And, you know, blast was new for us this year. And, you know, a lot of guys, when you were saying that, you know, they're like, man, I want to get my hand speed better, you know, like, so it definitely helped, you know, evolve our program.
Yeah, it really did. It really does. You can use the technology however you see fit. We like to have some competition each day of practice, and the swing path efficiency stuff from Blast was really big for us this year too as well. It really opened up some eyes on, you know, how long guys were keeping their barrels in the zone for, and you know, you could see a noticeable improvement week to week with guys, you know, working on swing path drills and things like that. And I thought it really showed, you know, even though we only got to play 15 games this year, I really thought it showed in statistically, you know, with certain guys and in you know, having success at the plate. You know, I always, the one kind of obscure statistic from this past season that one of my favorite ones from this year was our senior catcher, Will Smithy, who never swung and missed at a pitch the entire, you know, 15 games. You know, he had 2 backwards Ks, but he every time he swung the bat, he either fouled it off or put it in play. You know, and I think that's a big that was a byproduct of the swing pass stuff that we did.
Yeah, I think a lot of those tech pieces have really changed the way we do things on the event side. You know, Landon and I are always kind of in the office plugging away on what the new tech pieces are. How can we incorporate those into the tournament space? And ultimately for us, it's about, you know, 2 things for our events is one, the experience. You get that amazing experience when you go and play on college venues where the majority of these guys just aren't going to be able to get to that level to compete in college. But the second piece being the exposure side, and we want to be able to provide the most exposure. And we know that there are, you know, 50 different event coordinators throughout the country, and, you know, a college coach can't be everywhere at once. And we're trying to kind of narrow that net and create this loop of, hey, we've got video here, or we've got stats here, we've got, you know, these metrics going on at our events where we don't necessarily have to have, you know, 30 guys behind the plate with guns up anymore. Where, you know, we're trying to do as much of that work for the college coaches as we can to get them, you know, I don't need 30 college coaches at my event to really say and sell Pastime tournaments or Mid-America. I want those guys to see the players that are in our events. So those teams that these guys are a part of say, hey, when we were there, they've got this video and these guys are sending it out, doing this extra stuff for us. And it's not something that, you know, we're not charging to do that stuff. This is our passion that we're doing here. And any of these little tech pieces that we can tie in that provide that additional exposure, I mean, those are big pieces for us. And I would look to Landon from that college level perspective of saying, hey, what's next for us? What else can we do with this? And how is this going to help, you know, Coach Reddy decide, you know, hey, I've got these 10 guys and all these metrics are pretty similar. We need to be able to figure out to provide that piece of, hey, this is the easiest way to get him in front of those guys. Because we got some of these kids coming from, you know, New Jersey, and we may only have video from them where, you know, you're at UND's field and you may not be able to get over to, you know, the other field to check them out.
Yeah, there's not a lot of tournament guys right now doing that type of stuff. I mean, not that I'm aware of. I mean, I really like the fact that that there's video posted on Twitter on a lot of the players that are in those events. Because again, it does help you make decisions on where to go, what fields you need to be at. If you're short staffed that weekend, who's going to cover what field. You may need to see one team up on the, over at Bishop Chatard High School, and another team's playing at the same time at, North Central or Lawrence North or something like that. And having that information handy is very, very important to us. There's no question about it. It's really helped us make better decisions on where to go and who to see and whatnot. I mean, if you have it available, why would you not post it and help the college guys out? I mean, it really is important.
Yeah. So if there was, Al, I want you to act like I'm a parent and I'm just taking video of my son, either my swing or pitching or whatever. What's the things that you look for that you want to see? Like what angle, do you want to see game film? Like what are the things that you really like to look for?
Yeah. I mean, game film is what it is. I mean, I don't get very many emails of kids striking out in games, and things like that. It's game film is highlights is what it is. So take it for what it's worth. I like to see batting practice, side view batting practice. If you do have a radar gun handy, I do like to see exit velocity off of a tee, preferably too as well. So from directly behind where the hitter is set up, that's a great view for me because you can kind of see where the ball goes, how it comes off the bat, and then you can also get a good reading. For how fast it came off the bat. But again, that's not the end all be all for me. That's a starting point. That's a starting point. That gets me interested. When you're talking about a hitter on the pitching side, again, I'd like to see 2 or 3 different angles. I like to see directly from behind the catcher, preferably at field level, if possible, too as well. Just to kind of see how the pitches are moving. And I like to see side view. If it's a right-handed pitcher, from the third base side, preferably would be an angle that I like, but you could get either side really. And then maybe from behind too as well. So again, behind the catcher may be a little easier to get in game if you're a parent. Directly behind the pitcher is also a lot more difficult. You'd have to do that in a practice setting or a bullpen setting. But either side, would be beneficial too as well. Those are the things that I like to see. When you take a video from up in the stands, if you're playing at Victory Field or somewhere and you're 20 rows up and you're taking video, it's really, really difficult to make a decision based off of what you're seeing in those types of videos, for me at least.
Yeah, do you guys I think that's the biggest thing you see on Twitter and Instagram and all the feeds is, you've got it's either a highlight reel, and you understand that highlight reel. I mean, you guys are typically looking at the mechanics involved with it as opposed to, okay, he hit his one home run. We understand that piece of it. But it's the mechanics that I think you guys are really trying to focus on and get if there's a parent there. Again, those tech pieces, you've got, pocket radar that, you can sit back there. If you've got the radar in the right spot, you get those videos that pop up with the pocket radar velo attached to it that's good stuff to have. It's at least verifiable in some sense and helps kind of guide you guys in that right direction for sure.
Yeah, that was a great setup. I really like the pocket radar synced with the video, and then being able to post little, 1 or 2 pitch clips on Twitter is a great thing to have. There's no question about that. Again, it's a starting point. It helps you identify the guys that you want to go see, so that you're not wasting your time. I mean, when you leave campus to go watch somebody play, it costs money. You're driving over there, and it's your time and everything else. And a big part of recruiting, is not just going out and finding somebody that you want to sign, but it's crossing guys off too as well. It's you want to go out, you got to go out there and you got to cross off some guys that are on your list, so you can narrow your list down to who you really want to see. And if you already have that list narrowed down, then it makes things a lot easier.
All right, let's give you this time to, I guess, preach for the Division II, level. We've heard a lot about, everyone wants to go D1. There's been a lot of preach about, JUCOs, NAIAs programs, stuff like that. What sets the D2 level, apart from, all the other levels out there?
Baseball is a unique sport in the sense that the levels, the levels are a lot more comparable in baseball. Again, this is my opinion only than football or basketball. It's a sport where, when you're comparing Division I and Division II, the biggest difference is the depth in the pitching staff. Normally is the best way I could put it. You want to find the best fit for you, and I get it. Everybody wants to go the Division I route, but there's some really good baseball being played right now in Division II. And, when a Division I school and a Division II school, play each other, especially if it's just a one-game event in the middle of the week or something like that, which is normally what you see, either team can win. I mean, there's no question about that. In a series, the depth in that pitching staff that we just talked about might show up a little bit more in a series on the Division I side. But, for the most part, I mean, the hitters, a good Division I hitter can hit and a good Division II hitter can hit. I mean, they can both hit. The Division I guy might be able to play a little better defense or maybe run a little bit better. But, again, like those are things that we're looking for here, at UIndy. So, good Division IIs, good Division Is. There's, really, I mean, again, it's the separation is a lot more significant in some of the other sports than maybe baseball. Not always with, but for the most part.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having us on there and letting us steal some of your time. Our last closing note here is, we always want to know, like, what makes, this a UIndy guy? What sets them apart from, someone and, going to, one of the other schools in the conference? What's that look and feel that you're getting on why they're a UIndy guy?
One of the biggest things for me recruiting over the last 20 years, and I really, you find yourself as a younger coach recruiting, just going out and trying to get, the best possible player that you can get. When you're talking about, it might be, between you and 2 or 3 other different schools. And for me, over the last, have I lost you there?
No, we're good.
For me, it's more about, I want guys that want to be here. I mean, that's so important to me. If you really, really want to be here and want to play here for us, I don't beg anybody to come. I probably used to do that as a younger coach. I've stopped doing that. I like guys that want to be here. I mean, that goes so far. Even if it's a guy that, when you compare him to some of the other guys that other schools are recruiting, that maybe might be a little bit better baseball player or maybe a little bit more talented. If it's close and the guy that wants to be there, wants to come to UIndy and wants to be a Greyhound, that's the guy that I want. I'll go to battle with that guy, every single day of the week. I love guys that want to be here. And those are the UIndy guys for me. I mean, those are program guys. Those are guys that are going to run through a brick wall for you. They're going to do exactly what you ask them to do. They're going to understand the expectations. They're going to play hard. They're going to be team players. The other guy, the guy that you have to beg to come, the first sign of adversity and the thought that goes through his mind is, oh, I should have went to that other place, you know? So I should have went somewhere else. So, you know, that's big for me. Those are the guys I like.
Perfect. Well, thanks for coming on. I know get back to the family before the wife comes down and gets you, but hopefully we'll see you here at the end of May, and we'll be out playing. I know we got to get on the course at some point whenever we're allowed to go out there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can't wait, guys. Can't wait. Hopefully this passes. You know, and we're doing our part at UIndy with social distancing and just trying to, you know, diminish the spread of this thing. But hopefully it passes and we can get back to playing baseball.
All right, we'll see you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.